Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about the importance of values in realistic drawings. In the background there'll be a few clips of my process of drawing this French Bulldog using graphite. For this piece I used only 4 pencils, 3 different graphite pencils and a black polychromos pencil. I use the black polychromos pencil in my graphite drawings because it's a good way to get the darkest values in without getting too much of the graphite shine in those areas, as I'm not a fan of the shiny graphite look. I use a blending stump to blend out some of the graphite to create a base tone to some of the areas of the drawing. I also use a Tombow mono eraser, which is a really thin rubber which is great to get in some of the highlights if there are smudges of graphite in the places that you don't want it. This rubber is really precise, which is great for those smaller details. So what are values and why are they so important? The word value just refers to how light or dark something is. To create realistic drawings, the most important thing is the values. Without the really dark shadows and the really light highlights, a drawing might look flat and it won't look three-dimensional at all. This is often the reason that drawings don't look as realistic as they could. If the main outline sketch is correct, then the values is the next most important thing. Drawing in black and white is a great way to practice getting the values correct within a drawing because it forces you to focus on the tones and values rather than the colours as well. Colour is not what makes something look realistic, it's always the values. You could draw a horse in blue, but you could still make it look realistic if you get the darks dark enough and the lights light enough and in the right places. I usually work in coloured pencils or pastels, which is colour, so every now and again I like to practice drawing using graphite or another black and white medium such as charcoal, as it really helps build up my skills. If you're not drawing in colour, it's helpful to edit your reference photo so that it's in black and white rather than in colour. This really helps you to see where the darkest areas really are and where the lightest areas are. Even if you're drawing in colour, it's a good idea to put your reference photo into black and white and then take a photo of your drawing and edit that photo into black and white and compare the two side by side and see if your values are correct. More often than not, the dark areas won't be dark enough. A lot of people are scared to go in too dark with their drawings, me included sometimes, because they're scared it will ruin the piece. The truth is that you need to make sure the darkest areas are really dark to create the realistic look that you're after. To change your reference photo into black and white, you can use a photo editing app on your phone, Microsoft Word, Paint, Photoshop, there's so many ways to do this. For the darkest areas in this drawing, I used a 6B pencil and the black polychromos pencil. If you just use a HB pencil for the entire drawing, you will really struggle to get those dark areas dark enough. You could even try using some charcoal for the really dark areas as well. Another way of making your drawings look more realistic and make them stand out a bit more would be to make one particular part of the drawing the focus. The main focus within this bulldog drawing is the face. So within the eyes, nose and the fur on the face I added a lot more detail and some fur strokes. When I did the front legs and the back of the neck behind the head, I didn't add much detail and I blended the graphite out a lot more so that the pencil strokes didn't show up quite as much. In real life, when you look at something, your eyes only focus on one main thing at a time. If you look at someone's face, for example, their body and the background behind them is not in focus and it's slightly blurred out compared to the face that you're focusing on. With my animal drawings, I usually always focus on the face the most, as that's the part of the drawing I want people to look at and be drawn to the most. I chose not to add any background to this drawing, but if I did, then I would make sure to make it very blurred out and I wouldn't really add much detail into it at all. Within my graphite drawings, I tend to add the brightest highlights nearer the end, or after I've finished drawing a particular section. This is because whilst I'm drawing, some of the graphite smudges into the highlights and makes them not as bright anymore. This is when I'd go in with my Tombow mono eraser. I also use a kneaded eraser sometimes to pick up some of the graphite. You can gently dab the rubber onto the paper and it picks up the graphite off the paper. This is particularly useful if you want the background to be left completely white, as it picks up any graphite smudges and leaves the paper looking as good as new. Obviously, if you press hard with a pencil or something and try and rub it out, it won't work very well, but it works great for getting rid of just some smudges. I also use the Derwent electric rubber sometimes too, which is great for getting rid of darker areas of graphite. It works amazingly to lift up the pigment without ruining the paper underneath. Another question is, why do the values within a drawing make it more realistic? The values allow us to see where the light source is coming from. In real life, there's always a light source somewhere, whether it be from the sun or a light in the room or anything. There could even be multiple light sources. If a drawing was drawn without getting the values correct, then there's no sense of light, which takes away the realism completely. Because as I said, in real life, there's always a light source. When you're drawing something, try to picture where the light source would be and how that affects where the shadows are. It might help you to understand where and why you need to add the darker and the lighter areas. And that is all for this video today. I really hope that you found it helpful. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future videos. If you'd like to see more of my artwork, then please check out my Instagram account at LottieLouiseArt. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!